Do you ever feel like you're stuck in the background, watching other people get all the breaks? You see colleagues getting promotions, friends launching exciting projects, and you can't help but wonder, why not me? When is it my turn? It's a frustrating feeling, like you're waiting for a train that never arrives at your station. Let me tell you about a friend of mine. We'll call him Daniel. For the longest time, Daniel was the classic waiter. He was talented, hardworking, and incredibly smart. He firmly believed in the idea that if you just put your head down and do good work, the right people will eventually notice. Opportunities, he thought, would just find their way to him. It's a nice thought, isn't it, that merit alone is enough. So, he stayed quiet in meetings, even when he had brilliant ideas. He never volunteered for challenging new projects because he was afraid of making a mistake or facing judgment. His comfort zone was his fortress, a safe place where he couldn't be rejected, but also where he couldn't grow. He chose silence because silence felt safe. He watched as others, some with less experience, spoke up, pitched their ideas, sometimes clumsy, sometimes brilliant, and got noticed. He'd tell himself, their ideas aren't even that good, or they just got lucky. But deep down, a seed of doubt was growing. Was it really luck, or was it something else? Then came the day that changed everything for him. A senior position opened up in his company, the exact role he had been dreaming of for years. It was his goal, the reason he'd been working so hard. He was, by all objective measures, the most qualified person for the job. He had the experience, the skills, the track record. He waited, expecting his boss to tap him on the shoulder and say, "Daniel, this job has your name on it." He waited for the invitation, but the invitation never came. Instead, the promotion went to a younger colleague, someone who had been at the company for half the time he had. This colleague was known for being vocal, for constantly suggesting new initiatives, and for not being afraid to ask for more responsibility. Daniel was devastated. It felt like a betrayal, a massive injustice. For weeks, he was bitter and resentful. He blamed his boss, he blamed his colleague, he blamed the unfairness of the corporate world. He felt like a victim, overlooked and unappreciated. He thought, what was the point of all that hard work if it leads to this? One evening, while venting to a mentor, he was asked a simple but profound question. Did you ever tell anyone you wanted the job? Daniel paused. He had to be honest. No, he hadn't. He never once expressed his interest to his boss. He never sat down and outlined his vision for the role. He never asked what he could do to be considered. He just waited, assuming his desire and his qualifications were obvious. In that moment, the entire narrative he had built in his head crumbled. It wasn't his boss holding him back. It wasn't his colleague who stole his job. It wasn't some cosmic injustice. The person who had been holding him back, the one who had kept him stagnant, was himself. His passivity, his fear of stepping out of the shadows, had made him invisible. He realized that no one was a mind reader. No one was going to magically pluck him from obscurity and hand him his dreams on a silver platter. He had chosen to be a spectator in his own career. That realization was a painful but necessary wake-up call. It was the start of a transformation. Daniel decided he was done waiting. He was going to start creating. It didn't happen overnight. It started with small, uncomfortable actions. The next time he was in a team meeting, his heart was pounding, but he forced himself to speak up and share an idea. His voice was a bit shaky at first, but he did it. The idea wasn't instantly celebrated, but it was heard. A discussion started. That small act felt like a monumental victory. He then started proposing small improvements for a workflow. He sent an email to his boss, not demanding anything, but asking if he could take on a small part of a challenging new project, just to learn. He started reaching out to people in other departments to ask them about their work. Building connections, not because he needed something immediately, but because he was genuinely curious. Was it easy? Absolutely not. There were times his ideas were ignored. There were times he asked for responsibility and was told no. There were moments he felt foolish and wanted to crawl back into his safe, silent shell. But this time, something was different. He understood that rejection wasn't a verdict on his worth. It was just a part of the process. Every ignored email was a lesson in how to communicate better next time. He was learning that creating opportunities is inherently risky. You might face rejection, you might fail, you might be ignored. But he also learned a more powerful truth. Not creating opportunities guarantees a 100% chance of getting nothing. The risk of inaction is far greater than the risk of action. Over time, these small actions compounded. People started seeing Daniel differently. He was no longer just the quiet, reliable guy in the corner. He was the guy with ideas, the guy who took initiative, the guy who wasn't afraid to contribute. And guess what? Not because he was waiting for them, but because he was actively putting himself in their path. He was building the bridges, not waiting for them to appear. The core lesson Daniel learned is one we all need to hear. No one owes you an opportunity. Not your boss, not your friends, not the universe. You are not entitled to a great career or a fulfilling life just because you re a good person who works hard. But you do owe yourself a chance. You owe it to yourself to try, to ask, to raise your hand, to step into the arena. The world isn't malicious. People are wrapped up in their own goals and their own struggles. They don't have time to guess what you want or what you're capable of. You have to show them. You have to be your own biggest advocate. So, if you're like the old Daniel, sitting on the sidelines and waiting for your turn, I want to encourage you to stop waiting. Your turn is now. It begins the moment you decide to create it. Start small. What is one uncomfortable action you can take this week? Can you share an idea in a meeting? Can you volunteer for a small task outside your job description? Can you reach out to someone you admire and ask for a 15-minute chat? Don't wait for the perfect moment or the perfect opportunity. Create it. Because the power to change your life doesn't lie in the hands of others. It's been in your hands all along. You just have to decide to use it. Thanks so much for watching. If this message resonated with you, give this video a like and consider subscribing for more content to help you build the life you want. Let me know in the comments what's one small step you'll take this week. I'll see you in the next one.